Nnenne was born in a small village in southeastern Nigeria. Her family was poor and life was a daily struggle. Her parents were subsistence farmers who worked hard to provide for their children, but money was never enough. Despite their challenges, they valued education and believed it was the only way out of poverty. From a young age, Nnenne showed remarkable intelligence. She excelled in her studies, often finishing first in her class. Her teachers always encouraged her to aim higher. After years of hard work, Nnenne gained admission to a prestigious university to study business administration. It was a dream come true, but it came with its challenges. At the university, Nnenne faced a new kind of struggle. Most of her classmates came from wealthy families and wore expensive clothes and in the latest fashion. Nnenne, on the other hand, had to make do with what she had. Some students teased her, calling her local girl because of her simple clothes and naivety. "Why do you always wear the same dress, Nnenne?" one girl sneered one day. Nnenne smiled politely and said nothing. Inside, her heart ached, but she refused to let their words break her spirit. She found solace in her fellowship group, where she sang in the choir. Singing brought her joy and gave her a sense of belonging. The fellowship members encouraged her and often reminded her that God had a great plan for her life. During freshman week on campus, the excitement of rag day filled the air. Students dressed in torn and exaggeratedly shabby clothes, pretending to beg for alms as part of the tradition. Nnenne, however, chose not to participate, focusing instead on settling into her new environment. Her roommates, who came from wealthier backgrounds, seized the opportunity to mock her. "Nnenne," one of them teased, "you don't even need to search for rags today. You've already got plenty in your wardrobe." Another burst out laughing. "Yay! You could just step out in your normal clothes and win the prize for the most authentic look." The remarks stung, but Nnenne refused to let them see her hurt. She simply smiled and walked away, reminding herself of why she was there. Of course, to chase her dreams, not to impress those who didn't understand her journey. Their words motivated her even more to prove her worth through her hard work and talent. Then came the matriculation day. The bright Saturday on campus was filled with excitement. Students laughed, posed for pictures, and adjusted the new matriculation gowns as proud parents stood around taking photos. Balloons floated in the air, music played, and everyone except Nnenne was happy. Nnenne stood quietly under a tree near the school hall. Her gown was clean but old, one she had borrowed from a senior who had finished the previous year. Unlike her classmates, she wore worn-out shoes and carried a small nylon bag. Her roommates had mocked her earlier that morning, whispering loud enough for her to hear. "Look at her," one of them said. "She didn't even buy new clothes for matric." Another laughed. "Ha ha 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 ha. Maybe her parents couldn't afford to come." They were right. Nnenne's parents were poor farmers in the village. They wanted badly to be there, but transport fare and new clothes were too expensive. Her mother had cried on the phone belonging to Nnenne's best friend. She had apologized to Nnenne, while her father had said softly, "My daughter, make us proud. We are with you in spirit." So Nnenne came to the matriculation alone. As she watched other students posing for pictures with their parents, she felt a lump in her throat. Some mothers held their daughters' hands. Others helped fix their gowns. Fathers stood proudly beside their sons. Nnenne blinked fast, trying to stop her tears. When it was time for the ceremony, she sat quietly in the hall, her hands folded on her lap. The vice chancellor spoke about a bright future, hard work, and success. Nnenne listened carefully, holding on to those words. She promised herself that one day her parents would not have to miss any ceremony again. After the event, while others went off to eat and celebrate, Nnenne walked back to her hostel. She sat on her bed and smiled faintly. She might be alone today, but she believed that someday things would change. She whispered to herself, "This is just the beginning. One day I will make them proud." And deep down, she knew she would. Nnenne remained focused on her studies and passed her exams with flying colors. Back then, Nnenne's clothes were often torn, worn out, and barely enough to last through the school semester. Each time something ripped, she would walk quietly to Mama Tola's tiny tailoring corner, just outside the campus gate. Mama Tola, a kind-hearted young tailor, always welcomed her with a smile and never complained about mending her clothes, no matter how bad the tears were. Over time, Nnenne became fascinated by the way Mama Tola's hands moved, quick, steady, and full of skill. Whenever she had free time between classes, she began stopping by, not just to fix her clothes, but to watch and learn. Mama Tola noticed her interest and gently encouraged her by showing her basic stitches. Before long, Nnenne became confident enough to try sewing on her own. She began picking leftover fabrics from Mama Tola's bin. From those scraps, she sewed small pieces for herself. At first, the clothes were rough and imperfect, but over time, her designs became cleaner. And without realizing it, Nnenne had taken her first bold steps into the world of fashion. Not quite long, her unique outfits on campus began to draw attention. "Wow, Nnenne, did you make this yourself?" a classmate once asked. "Yes," Nnenne replied shyly. "You are talented. You should consider learning to sew professionally," her classmate suggested. I will try my best," Nnenne answered. Inspired by the compliments, Nnenne enrolled in a professional sewing class during the holidays. Soon, Nnenne became skilled at sewing and started making clothes for her friends and few fellow students for a small fee. On her graduation day, Nnenne stood out in a stunning outfit she made herself. The dress, crafted from vibrant African prints, was a masterpiece of bold patterns and rich colors that celebrated her roots. As Nnenne walked into the ceremony, heads stunned and murmurs of admiration filled the air. Her classmates, many of whom had once mocked her, couldn't help but marvel at her transformation. "Wow, Nnenne, did you make that yourself?" one of her peers asked. "You look like royalty," she said, beaming at her. Even her professors congratulated her, not only for her academic achievements, but also for her unique transformation. and sense of style. Nnenne felt a wave of pride and joy as she accepted the compliments. For her, the dress symbolized more than her skill. It represented her resilience, hard work, and the journey she had taken to reach this milestone. It was a celebration of who she was and the bright future she was building. That day, Nnenne wasn't just a graduate who only came to showcase her sense of style. She was a star and a first-class student. Her parents, sitting in the crowd, could hardly contain their joy. They knew how far she had come and were overjoyed to see their daughter shining so brightly. As the ceremony ended, Nnenne posed for photos with her parents. She felt so happy because she missed this part on her induction ceremony. After her graduation, Nnenne stepped into a new chapter of her life with renewed confidence. She was posted to a bustling city for her National Youth Service Corps, a year she saw as an opportunity to grow, learn, and plan her future. During her service year, she continued sewing in her free time, creating beautiful designs for fellow coppers and locals. Word spread quickly about the talented copper who sews magic. Her small room became a mini studio where ideas came to life. She saved almost everything she earned, determined to turn her passion into something bigger. When her service year ended, Nnenne used her savings to rent a small shop and she bought a better sewing machine. The early days were tough, long hours, few customers, and many doubts. But her designs were unique, bold, and rich in African prints, and gradually, people began to notice. Nnenne's journey took a remarkable turn the day she met Emeka. Emeka was a promising young entrepreneur with big ideas and a sharp mind for business. He visited her shop one afternoon after hearing people talk about the girl who turns fabric into art. Impressed by her creativity, he struck up a conversation. Their connection was instant. Nnenne saw in him someone who believed in her dreams, while Emeka admired her resilience and raw talent. They began working together. Emeka helped refine her business structure, expand her customer base, and plan for long-term growth. He introduced her to the world of branding, marketing, and financial management, while she taught him the beauty of creativity, patience, and craftsmanship. Their strengths complemented each other perfectly. As their partnership deepened, so did their friendship, and soon their friendship blossomed into love. After their marriage, they became a powerful team, combining vision and skill, with Emeka handling the business side and Nnenne leading the creative direction. Their fashion brand soared beyond expectation. They expanded from a single shop to multiple branches, launched an online store, and began exporting their designs. Their collections appeared on major runways, and their name became recognized across the country and beyond. Together, they trained young designers, supported small businesses, and built a fashion empire rooted in passion, culture, and excellence. At the height of her success, Nnenne looked back with a heart full of gratitude. She knew that every opportunity she enjoyed at the university was paid for by her parents' sacrifices. To honor them, Nnenne returned to the village, not with pride, but with humility. She built her parents a beautiful, comfortable home to replace the one where they were living before. She also took full responsibility for their needs, ensuring they never lacked again. She invested in their farming system by providing modern farming tools and created a small business in their name so that they would continue their labor in dignity, not in hardship. Most importantly, Nnenne honored them publicly at every fashion show and conference. She introduced them as the foundation of her success, saying, "These are the farmers who trained me through their sweat so I could stand here today." Nnenne's life transformed completely. From a village girl mocked for her shabby clothes to a celebrated designer, shaping the future of African fashion, standing side by side with the man who believed in her. Their story became a testament to love, partnership, and the power of dreams.